Explore your thoughts. Learn what you think you already know. We're taking you on a journey to the other side. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of The Other Side. We have a special treat for you today. Mr. David St Romain is in the house, where we talk about so many topics. This podcast, I just want to give it a little preface first. We did the interview, and we recently updated some software and equipment, so we had some glitches. But this interview was far too important not to post. So David was nice enough to come back again to redo basically the second half of the podcast of information that wasn't recorded for whatever reason. And even on that second take, we had some issues to where it either cut out or something happened. We did tests prior to having him on with the new equipment and software, and we did test afterwards, and we've never had a problem. Maybe with the new AI and everything listening to you, maybe it has something to do with the content because, oh yeah, we go there. It's that kind of an interview. But we promise in the future there will be no more of these glitches. Everything is going to work smoothly. We're going to work out all the bugs. And I want to thank David for coming back for that second interview. Really appreciate it. So we're going to make the best of it. Mainly the video quality was just horrible. It was too bad to even post. So you're not going to have any video for this podcast. It'll just be the audio. The audio is very fine, but it did cut out the end. That's why we redid the podcast again. But again, this was too important not to mash it all together and make a good quality podcast. We talk about, first of all, the health and the wellness. He's a guru about fitness and health and how to reverse your health conditions. He has his website is going to be posted on how to get a hold of him, Alka-clean.com. And he can work you through any kind of illnesses. He's not a doctor. We're not claiming to cure anything. You can only treat conditions that you may have that, despite your belief, most probably comes from your way of life, your diet, lack of exercise, and those sorts of things. So, without further ado, here is my interview with David St. Romain. Mr. David he's been into health and fitness for more than 20 years. He's a world champion professional bench presser with a competitive bench of 600 pounds. And he has 3 world records. He also has a bachelor's degree with a concentration in kinesiology. He also has been nationally certified personal trainer for 15 years. And he's a certified detox and tissue regeneration specialist. He owns his own business called Alka-clean, where he can help educate others on how to address the root causes of health problems, and how to improve or reverse your health conditions and putting the body back into homeostasis balance. So, without further ado, Mr. David, how you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful, man. I'm ready to get this going. We'll have fun with this one.
Yes, we will. Let's see. I'm just having a little computer freeze up right here. And so I don't want to save that. I'll cut this. All right. So we're back. All right. So that's quite an interesting bio that we have there. We're going to dive into all of that and kind of help. You know, I follow your videos and stuff that you do, and you're all about helping people learn what's the root cause of their problem. You know, if you have a headache, it's not because your body is lacking aspirin or Motrin. You know, that
Right.
what you say is there's a reason from it. You know, the lymphatic system's backed up, or I'll let you get into details on that, and we'll also talk more about your accomplishments and everything. As in other words, you were doing that before you became the I guess the more of the health awareness. You were more into bodybuilding and
Hmm.
everything. So if you want to just briefly talk about all that, I guess start with your website and what you're all about currently, what your website is all about, what you're trying to do for people.
So I have my own business. It's called Alka-clean, and basically I work with people that have mild to chronic health problems to actually address the root cause of the problem, which is always a backed up lymphatic system and the body just being overly acidic. And we teach these people how to properly eat for their species and how to actually get this lymphatic system moving to flush out all of this acid waste that's causing our organs and glands and our bodies to break down. And starts giving off symptoms, which medical will start labeling them diseases. So what we do is we work with people that are tired of feeling the way they're feeling, tired of being sick and tired of having aches and pains or having health problems, and they're ready to make that lifestyle choice, because it does take a lifestyle choice to see this change. You kind of have to do the opposite of what you've been doing that got you in the situation that you're in the first place. So we teach people how to do this, and as they continuously clean out all this acid waste out of their lymphatic system, these symptoms begin to improve more and more, and until the symptoms no longer persist. And we've done this with dozens and dozens and dozens of people, and I have many testimonials on my website. I have lab work, I have videos. I mean, I have almost everything. And we've worked with anything from small issues like some high blood pressure, some high cholesterol, some aches and pains, all the way to major conditions like getting amputees and quadriplegics to walk out of their wheelchairs. So I have a list of all of the different types of problems that I've personally worked with clients on my website. But it's something I have a passion for. I've been doing it for quite a while. I've always been into health and fitness, but this is diving a bit deeper and helping people in a way that most people are totally unaware of right now. And that's why I'm here. That's my purpose. It's kind of to bring the awareness of how to do this to people, because I'm tired of seeing people sick and suffering. I watched my dad suffer with cancer for 10 years until he finally passed away, and it never actually had to be that way had I known this information. So I'm just basically here to preach this word and to help as many people as I can with their health problems.
So, David, would it be fair to say, based on your studies and research, that barring some kind of strange genetic birth, anything could be possible, that some kind of, crazy, wild genetic condition, most, if not, all, most health conditions are cause and effect. It's something that we
Mm-hmm.
are doing to ourselves, and these are conditions of the way we are treating our bodies,
Mm-hmm.
such as nutrition or
Right.
lack of exercise and these types of things.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it doesn't even matter if the person's born with certain genetics, because the genetics are always influenced by the epigenetics, which is the environment. So like when you were in the womb, in your mother's womb, her lymphatic system and the amount of toxic and acidic buildup in her lymphatic system, which your lymphatic system is like your sewage system. Okay, it's where all of your cellular waste goes, and then it'll either be transported to the kidneys to be eliminated as urine. This is why we urinate, or to the skin to be sweated out. This is why we sweat. So uh, basically, we pee and we sweat to get rid of metabolic acid waste. And so whenever a child is in the womb of the mother, yes, it doesn't matter what that mother is consuming, because if she's eating a lot of these toxic foods, a lot of these acidic foods, that's going to compromise her lymphatic system, but it's also going to compromise the child's. So this is part of why we're having all of these genetic defects and stuff when children are born, or children are getting all these major conditions by the time they're like 3, 4, 5 years old. And we're seeing more and more of this at the children's hospitals, because it's it's not that the children are getting sicker, it's the food that's getting worse and worse, and we're consuming these all of these dyes, these chemicals, these preservatives and things, and it's altering our DNA. But even if you're born with genetic problems, genetics can be altered by changing the epigenetics, by changing the environment. So um, I've worked with other issues. They told me my high blood pressure was genetic. I've had it for 10 years, and once I found this information out, I reversed it, and it's never been high since. So, you know, just don't take like anything to heart, because you can always alter it, especially when they say it's hereditary or genetic. That's just another excuse.
Right. Right. So like I always explain to people, when you think of a doctor, the very word doctor that comes out of our mouths that we're accustomed to, we automatically think of your doctor, your medical doctor. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
there are many different types of doctors. There are doctors of science. There's a doctors of English, doctors of math.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's look at the different types of doctors. They are an MD, medical doctor, a doctor of medicine. Okay, you could go to a chiropractor, and they could say something totally different than the doctor. I've seen it firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a headache. Well, we need to prescribe you this pill. And what you're saying is, it's not that your body is lacking the pills, is because there's something that you're doing back in, and you're saying most of it, if not all of it, has to do with the lymphatic system. Is that
Yes,
correct?
100%.
So if you can explain the lymphatic system, and I believe you said as of 2018, it's become known, recognized as the largest organ in our body.
So So it's the back in 2018, medical science finally discovered what a lot of naturopathic doctors have been knowing for 50 years, is that we actually have another organ in our bodies. It's called the interstitium, and you can Google it. It's been on all the major news networks. It's been all on all the major science journals. Like, it's a real thing, and it houses the fluid that surrounds all of your body cells, but also your lymphatic system. And your lymphatic system is basically like a sewage system. It's like a series of pipes that gets rid of waste, and it's getting rid of our cellular waste from when our cells break down or they consume food and excrete waste. Um, but we're not really taught much about the lymphatic system in school, and it's really not covered in medical school. So um, they're kind of putting all of their focus on blood work. Well, I mean, blood is always the last to know. So if when you get your lab work back and your blood work is way out of whack, the rest of the body is far worse off, um, because the blood is always the last to know. The body will continue to push out all of this acidic waste to other organs and glands to try to keep the pH balance of the blood system, which is a 7.365. If the blood gets acidic, it'll go down. Even if it goes down to like a 7.1 pH, you'll go into a coma. So it's very delicate. So the body will do everything it can to keep that pH balance. And you can also do blood work one day, go back and do it the next week, and it'd be totally different. So it's like something I never really use very much. More so for me, I would rather prick my own finger and look at it under a microscope, because I can see all of my actual cells. I can see my cholesterol, my plaque buildup. I can see it all just by looking through a microscope. So,
So let's say today somebody contacts David St Romain and says, "Look, I have this symptom and this, regardless of the symptom."
mm-hmm.
What would be the first thing that you would recommend for them to do, or to eat, or to change?
Mm-hmm. So it's so simple. Um, Basically, I mean, we're a species like any other animal species. If you look at horses and cows, they'll eat grasses and hays. If you look at tigers, they'll eat meats. I mean, we all have a specific food group. And the main problem is that whenever we go off of eating the foods that were designed for us by nature, this is why we're seeing all those health problems. I mean, you don't ever see a tiger eating fruit. You don't ever see a horse or a cow eating meat. I mean, because they stick to their food groups. Well, our food group is, it's not these foods that we're getting at these fast food restaurants. It's not hamburgers, chips, pizzas,
Processed
sodas,
foods.
things like that. Yes, it's not. Um, our species, we're a fruivore species, and we're meant to eat predominantly fruits, berries, melons, some vegetables, and some nuts and seeds. Once you start back and eating the foods that were designed for us, that's when we start to see the body starting to clean itself out, because these foods are detoxifying. And as the body's cleaning itself out, that's when you start noticing these symptoms and stuff starting to get less and less. Just because you're cleaning out, you're putting your body back into balance. It's just like, if you're 50 years old, and I mean, just imagine if you had your house and you never took the trash out in 50 years out of your house. I mean, there would be flies and bugs everywhere. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get around. So basically, that's all we're doing is we're cleaning out house. And the hard part is, it's not so much eating the foods, it's the elimination side of things, because you really have to work on getting the kidneys to filter again. You got to make sure the bowels are cleaned out. You got to clean out the lungs. You got to make sure the pores of the skin are opened up. So there is some art to doing this. It's not just going and eating some alkaline foods, because you really have to work on cleaning and strengthening, back and forth, back and forth.
Right. It's like if the minute your shower or your toilet backs up, the first thing you doing is looking for a plumber. You got
Right,
to get the sewage system going because your house is inoperable. It'll be condemned. That'll be
right,
the first thing to
right.
condemn a home. Just that that would be the first thing we condemn our bodies by doing that.
Hmm.
So you mentioned berries and melons and
Hmm.
fruits. In my mind, grew up that those are one and the same. Are they the same? And if not, how are they different?
They just have different nutrition profiles, but I mean, some of them, like melons, will digest a bit faster than fruits or berries. So you don't ever really want to eat melons with fruits or berries. You kind of just want to eat them alone. But they're all alkaline foods. They're very hydrating and detoxifying. So I'm for all of them, honestly.
Right. And how about the like the alkalinity? Is it more of an alkaline food than regular fruits, or how is that?
I mean, there's some that are more detoxifying fruits, like your watery fruits, like grapes, apples, oranges, are going to be more
Blueberries?
detoxifying than, yeah, berries, than like bananas or avocados, something that's a little thicker with a little more consistency. That'll slow the detox process down a bit. Um, but the watery fruits are going to be your best bet, but they hit you harder, so you
Right.
better be ready to detox.
Right. So, along the lines of nutrition, so your background before you really delved into this as deep as you were, your nutritional, I guess your diet, should I say, was based around bulking up, creating muscles,
Yeah,
and so I've seen you before. You were posting how many eggs you were eating in a day, or these types of things, and now you you obviously have a great physique and whatever, but you don't do any of that. You say it's not so much about the protein, about how much protein or anything. It's about the electrons and the amount of food you get. Can you? So I guess people watching this are, so we're talking about nutrition, but also the nutrition part of not just being healthy. Someone who's wanting to, let's not even say bodybuild, just get in shape. You're saying, contrary to what we've thought, and believed, you need, a gram or a gram plus for every pound of body, every pound that your body weighs and whatever. And you're saying throw that away, throw that
yeah.
concept away. If you could speak a little bit to that, what do you do different now versus the diet you had then?
So the diet I had then was just a basic chicken and rice diet, like chicken and rice every meal. It's an inflammatory diet, basically. Whenever you look at bodybuilders, that is an inflammatory sport. That's all it is. You're eating inflammatory foods, a lot of proteins, and a lot of starchy carbs, which are all acidic. And you're trying to build up as much lactic acid in the muscles as you possibly can to give that roundness and that full look. It's like, yeah, it looks good, but it's damaging your body at the same time.
And it's
Now,
not actually lean muscle. It's
no,
more
it's
just acid
inflammation.
build, inflammation.
You can take any bodybuilder and tell them to stop eating white rice for like 3 days, they're going to deflate. The body's going to flush out the inflammation. That's all it is.
Would that
What I do
affect
more
their
so,
would that affect their strength in any ways?
oh yeah, yeah, because your weight's going to go down. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Um, so what I do different now is I don't consume like primary sources of I mean, we call it primary source of protein, which is like meat or fish, but really the primary source of protein is grass. I mean, this is where cows, horses, and all that, get their protein from. And then we want to turn around and eating the cow for protein. Well, why not just cut out the cow and go straight to the source, the primary source, which are the greens? So the whole thing with the protein is that our bodies can't actually even use protein. It has to, the stomach creates hydrochloric acid to break simple amino acids. It cannot use a full protein structure. So why not just give it amino acids and cut out the whole toxic process of invoking the hydrochloric acid? And that's what's in plants. It's the amino acids. It doesn't matter the quantity of protein you're consuming, it's the quality of it. And then your body can only process so much protein because the rest is converted into urea and ammonia. And if you ever, been around a really heavy meat eater, they'll start kind of smelling like ammonia when they start to sweat. Um,
When
and
I'll do that like in the summer. These summer months are coming, like 110 degrees, and when I'm really, really sweating, my
mhm,
shirts will smell like ammonia.
yeah,
That is the
it's
truth.
it's the it's the meat that's putrefying in the intestines. It's come out through the pores of your skin. I mean, you think about it. I mean, we're not actually designed to consume meat. Meat eaters like tigers and lions, they have like a 5 foot intestinal tract. Well, ours is 27 feet long. It's a totally different GI system. And I mean, you can imagine, middle of summer, you see a dead animal on the side of the road for 2 days, it's going to start to stink and have flies and everything. Well, imagine we ate a piece of meat and it's in our intestines for 2 days before we pass it. I mean, it's 98.6 degrees in this body, so it's the same exact concept. It's rotting in us, and we're smelling it through the pores of the skin, underneath our arms. This is where the body odor, the bad breath is all coming from. It's because we're not eating the right foods that are actually designed for us. And meat's not one of them. It's acidic.
I'd heard you say in one of your videos, you said we're not carnivores, we're not herbivores, we're not omnivores. You said we're fruitivores,
Frugivores, yeah.
fruitivores, like
Uh,
chimpanzees.
Yeah. So if you look at any species, we're the closest related to primates. We're like 96, 97% related to chimps, and they eat predominantly fruits, berries, melons, some vegetables. And that's exactly, we're not like omnivores. We're not like dogs, hogs, chickens. We're not herbivores like cows and horses. We don't look nothing like that. We definitely don't look like cats, like carnivores.
Right.
We look more like primates, which are frugivores.
Yeah,
And
or
whenever you
fingers
start
and
eating,
toes and
yeah, and when you start eating like a frugivore again, that's when you start noticing all of these health problems, these symptoms, the way you feel, your energy levels, all of that just start shifting, turning around, and start improving more and more. So it's the diet that's meant for us. And some people can go on like a carnivore diet or something for a short time, and they'll see like some health improvements. And that's only because it's better than what they were doing in the past. You're
Right.
going to hit that
Pizza
wall
and
with, yeah. So you're still going to hit that wall at some point because, I mean, our bodies are designed to eat certain foods, and it's not going to adapt or anything like that. Our intestinal tract is not changing or anything like that. So you just eat those foods that we're designed to eat, and I mean, you'll see a massive change in your health and the way you feel.
and I think it's also worth pointing out that chimpanzees, we are, 97, 98% the same, and they have incredible strength compared
Mm-hmm.
to us. They're incredibly strong. They could rip a man apart, and
Right.
their diet is based on, mostly fruits and everything. There's a video on Netflix called Chimp Empire. I don't know if you've seen that. It's very interesting
Mm-hmm.
about even the behaviors and everything. I guess that's just kind of a side note, but that was a very good, and it shows their eating habits, their diets, and their
Mm-hmm.
interaction among the colonies or whatever. Guess a little
Mm-hmm.
side note, but it was pretty very interesting, and they are much like humans are as well. It's Chimp Empire, I believe it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I,
go ahead.
I say I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely worth watching. So, like I said, I watch your videos and things of that nature. So you talk about foods and everything having like a vibrational frequency. I don't want to say it wrong. Is that is that how along the lines of how you say it, sort of a vibrational frequency to the
Yes.
foods we consume,
Mm-hmm.
and a lower vibrational state, you're further away from consciousness and more of your, I guess, head in the sand sort of thing. The higher vibrational plane that you can get your body and everything on can bring you closer to the, utopian consciousness and, seeing and I guess experiencing uh yourself and everything around you a little bit, better. So are there any foods, let's start with that, like that have a higher, like the highest vibrational frequency that you could consume and I guess get a jump start on your inner consciousness?
Mm-hmm. So, um, when it comes to the vibrational frequency, everything has a vibrational frequency. Every cell of your body has a vibrational frequency. Um, and whenever we look at the foods, the highest vibrational frequency foods are going to be your fruits, your berries, and your melons. They're the most electrical. They're the most nutritious. And then under that, we have vegetables, um, raw vegetables, cooked or steamed vegetables. Then after that, we have cooked and steamed vegetables. And then after that, it's basically the processed foods, the animal flesh, the dairy, the fine grains, just kind of all the dead food, the acidic food. So our body vibrates at a certain frequency as a whole. And as we consume foods that have a lower vibrational frequency, it will pull our vibrational frequency down. And this is where our cells start to get out of sync, they start breaking down, and we start developing health problems. Now, it's also the more that we're consuming these acidic foods, you're backing up the lymphatic system, but it's also your cells' health because if they're not vibrating at the right frequency, it will break them down and damage them. And the more high vibrational foods that we're going to consume, we're going to notice that we're going to be happier. We're going to have more mental clarity. Our skin's going to look better. These health problems start to correct themselves. We have more energy. Um, we start to understand and see things in a different perspective, it really shifts our state of consciousness. But if you want a reset level, you have to eat high vibrational, high conscious foods themselves, and your fruits are going to be your top of your list.
So we're all like, so let's talk about consciousness. So another one of your videos I watched, you were talking about a it wasn't a collective consciousness. You called it a what was it, a higher consciousness or a universal
Uh,
consciousness?
Universal intelligence.
Universal intelligence. That's what it was. So if you could speak to that a little bit, what is this universal intelligence? Is it God? Is it all of us collectively that are, I guess, part
Yeah.
of this one system, be it God or just being the connected
Mhm.
together in a collective consciousness state? Or if you could speak to that, your thoughts on that.
Okay. So this is something I love talking about. So
I could go for
universal
days with this.
intelligence. Yes. So your universal intelligence is your awareness. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience here on this planet, and we're here to experience the duality of what this life has to offer. And basically, we're all the exact same God consciousness experiencing itself through a duality. So the consciousness that is in me is the same consciousness that is in you, and the next person, and so forth. This is how God, the divine, the source, creator, whatever you want to call it, experiences. And the universal intelligence, our awareness, is just basically the way that we perceive things logically, our moral sense, our intuition, the ability to see through the lines of when like people are lying to us or whatnot. It's like we can see truth for what it is. It's kind of like when you have this aha moment. That's when you start developing and expanding your awareness. And if you want to increase your universal intelligence, you have to consume high vibrational, high frequency food. And you have to kind of like detox this pineal gland. It kind of sits like right in the middle of your head. They call it your third eye. It's very, very important. But once you're able to do this, then you can kind of go a little bit further with it. You can look into how to doing outer body experiences. You can go to winkyhow.com and they'll tell you step by step how to do or experience an outer body experience. Because we are consciousness, we are an energy, a spirit, a soul, whatever you want to call it, that is just experiencing itself through a duality in these physical bodies. So if you ever want to know your true state of who you truly are, just stop thinking for a while and just observe. And that observation is the awareness which you are. So we're not our physical bodies. We are the awareness that is controlling and is moving these physical bodies. But it's all the same conscious awareness, and that resides in all living things. Does that
So
make sense?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So are we like the Matrix? We're living in a, our bodies are in a vat somewhere, just experiencing this, in some digital plane or something somewheres, or our physical bodies here, but we're just connected through
Yeah.
like a higher dimensional consciousness.
Yeah, so this all goes back to the vibrational frequency. This level of creation, this physical level, is the lowest level possible for creation. It's kind of like if you ever had like a massage gun. It's like the faster you turn up the massage gun, it's moving so fast it's hard to see it. It almost looks invisible.
Hmm.
And then as you turn it down, the slower the massage gun is going to go, you can see its physical form. That's because the vibrations have slowed down. So we are very low vibration to be able to be in this physical form. But I mean, there's beings and entities all around us that are just simply at a higher vibration that we cannot physically pick up with our eyes. And we know this because, I mean, we have like your cell phone internet, we have Wi Fi, we have radio waves. Like, we know that they're there, but we just can't see them because they vibrate at such a fast frequency, our eyes cannot pick this up. but there's different dimensions, beings, entities that are all around us. In religion, a lot of times we'll call them like guardian angels and demons. In spirituality, we'll call them guides and masters. So there's beings all around us. You have a guardian angel or a guide. I do. We all do, and they guide us through this journey, through this path of life, for us to grow and develop and learn. Because everything is a duality. If you look at everything, there's good and bad. There's black and white. Um, there's up and down. There's male. There's female. There's yin and yang. I mean, it's literally everything. Um, so, uh, is there anything you want me to add to that, or
No,
because I can go around and around?
right, yeah. No, you explained it quite beautifully. So our eyes can only see something like 5% of visible light or less, but
Mm-hmm.
on the electromagnetic spectrum, it's all the same. So radio waves, microwaves,
Mm-hmm.
ultraviolet, X-rays, all of this are all the same thing. They're different
Mm-hmm.
wavelengths, but our eyes are only tuned to a very, very narrow uh,
Right.
spectrum. But there are things that are happening that our eyes just can't see. Like we can't
Right.
see into the ultraviolet, or
Mm-hmm.
into the, infrared, which all that means is
Mm-hmm.
ultraviolet is beyond violet. The infrared means below the red, on the Roy G. Biv, the, red, orange, yellow, whatever, the rainbow colors, it just below
Right.
the red, but we can't see it. Doesn't mean something is not there. It's like
Exactly.
The James Webb Space Telescope. They're actually picking up microwaves and a lot of infrared, but for us to see it, they have to map it in the uh, spectrum that we can see, much like a weather radar. Like there's not
Mm-hmm.
actually red rain or green rain, but for us to understand,
Mm-hmm.
oh, look at that red stuff coming, this is going to be really bad, or we understand it with the colors that we can perceive and understand, that we have adapted to. It's the same
Right.
thing. It doesn't mean things don't exist. There are beautiful images of these galaxies and of the universe
Mm-hmm.
that are, but they're just translated into our wavelength. So just because we can't see something, it doesn't mean it's not there. We can't see radio waves, but they're there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm communicating with you through Wi-Fi right now. It's obviously
Mm-hmm.
there. I see you. It's there. And uh you were talking about the vibrational, the body's, harmonic vibrational frequency. If you want to tune in, we'll just say the local radio station to 97.7, shout out to them,
Mm-hmm.
or 92.1. Anyways, for to receive that frequency, you have to be dialed in. The
Into
receiver
that.
needs to be set
Yeah.
to that frequency as well. If you're not dialed in to that exact frequency, then you just get static. And I think what you're saying, and I believe that as well, most of us, we're just full of static. We're in a static,
Mm-hmm.
sketchy mode that we cannot get to the higher vibrational frequency.
Yes, exactly. And
Was
it's
that
intended
summarized
to
pretty
be that.
good?
Yeah, very. It was very good actually. Yeah. So we're cluttered. Our minds, our consciousness are so cluttered with the foods that we're consuming nowadays, because they're so low vibrational foods. But as you eat these high vibrational foods, you're gonna see everything in a whole different perspective, with the way you think, and everything just makes more clearer sense. But again, with with the there being more beings and everything that's all around us, all you have to do is simply go and have an outer body experience. And there's thousands of people that's talked about it on YouTube and everything. I've done it. It's amazing. There's actually an institute called the Robert Monroe Institute, and they have a 97% success rate of people having an outer body experience through music. It's a very real thing. You can visit different dimensions basically, because you are consciousness, and you just kind of leave your physical body for a short time, and you're astral traveling. You can go to a different dimension. I've seen my father many times, and it's just as real as I'm looking at you right now. Um, it's just everything is, there's no words or anything in these dimensions. It's just telepathically, basically. The words just kind of pop up in your head, and but it's the most realist thing. Like you can literally move like I'm moving right now, and it's like you're literally realistically there. And it's like these images, it's nothing like a dream where you kind of forget it. Like, no, I remember these like years and years later. It's like you can't forget because it was an actual experience that your consciousness experienced, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So,
Mhm.
how do you get to these states? Is this a technique of meditation and breathing, or is it DMT,
So,
ayahuasca, or psilocybin, anything induced, or is it just a state of meditation and breathing exercises to get to that state?
so So everybody's different in the way they like to do it. Some people will do it through meditation. Some people will do it through sun gazing. Some will do it through like shrooms.
Hmm.
Um, I do it through sleeping. And like I said, you can go to winkyhow.com and they'll tell you step by step how to do it
Okay, that's
through sleeping.
wikihow.com.
Yeah, like Wikipedia.
Oh, wikihow. I
Yeah,
got you.
but I mean, like I said, you can go on YouTube and
Yeah.
see the thousands of people that have said the same thing about this.
Right.
But I mean, it's really it's one of the coolest things to experience.
So, David, thank you for coming back. We'll go ahead and pick up where we were. Like, well, we were going to say we were talking about meditating, and you were just saying that, I think it's very important. I would like to hear more about that. You said that you were able to visit your deceased father, and you said it's just as real as you and I talking now. I think is how you said it, or it seems pretty. You said that there's no verbal talking; it's all kind of telepathically. If you could
Mhm.
kind of touch on that, it's very fascinating.
Yeah, so we have to realize that we are spiritual beings, whether you want to call spirits, souls, energy, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that are simply just in physical bodies. So we can experience this life on this realm, but we are, in essence, just simply energy. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience, and we have the ability to leave our physical bodies and have our consciousness venture out into different dimensions. And we do this through having out of body experiences. And you can look it up on winkyhow.com. They'll tell you step by step how to do it. There's an entire institute called the Robert Monroe Institute where they have I think it's a 97% success rate of people having out of body experiences through music. You can also look at the thousands of people that have done out of body experiences on YouTube and just kind of see, what they've experienced. But through my experiences, you can either do this through like meditation, some sun gazing, or just doing it laying down and sleeping. And I can't necessarily do it like on command. Some people can. I just kind of get lucky with it. But whenever you have these experiences, it's not like just like a normal dream. It's like you're actually really there. It's like the most realistic thing, just as if I'm, looking at you, and all you're doing is simply pulling your consciousness, your awareness from your physical body and putting it in other dimensions. And you have the ability to visit past deceased members of your family or friends or whoever. I mean, I've seen my father on many occasions, and no, there is no like verbal communication. That's kind of just a physical thing. But you communicate telepathically. It just kind of like pops in your mind when you're going to communicate with these people, like on an astral dimension. And that's kind of the gist of it. I don't want to talk too far or too deep into it. The best thing is just to kind of go do a little bit of research on it first. That way you can kind of grasp the concept, because many people don't know about this. They kind of hide it from us, what we're actually able to do with our awareness. But it is an amazing thing. It's definitely something interesting to look into, because I mean, who wouldn't want to see, a past loved one or anything? It almost feels like, they're still here with you because you can see them. And it's as real as I'm looking at you, and you're able to move like this. You're able to think of what you want to say telepathically. I mean, it's as real gets, you know?
So, if what would you say to the naysayers that would say, "Well, how do you know it wasn't just a dream versus like an actual spiritual experience?"
So anytime you have a dream, that's still your consciousness venturing out into other dimensions, because your mind cannot create something that does not already exist somewhere in this universe. I mean, this universe is infinite. And I mean, just simply, so all the naysayers, I mean, you believe what you want. Honestly, I know my experiences that I've had, the thousands of people on YouTube who have had the experiences, all of the schools, and then the Wikipedia website. So I mean that's a lot of hard proof right there. But I mean, I get it. Some people, you know, aren't open-minded to these types of things, and that's okay. We're all on different levels of consciousness and awareness. And I probably wouldn't have believed in any of this had you told me this like 10 years ago. I'd be like, man, you're crazy or something. But as we expand and we grow in consciousness, these things start making more and more sense to us. So everybody's on their own timeline. So just because maybe they don't believe in it now doesn't mean they won't believe in it, a few years from now or whenever.
It seems like the higher, vibrational state you're in, the higher your conscious level that
Mm-hmm.
you become, things like that start to make more sense. When you start questioning
Mm-hmm.
things like, okay, I'm aware, but now I'm aware that I am aware. Like I'm
Right.
I'm conscious of my consciousness. So,
Mm-hmm.
so what is that? The the strangest thing to me is a deja vu. The
Mm-hmm.
experience where it could be the most subtle thing. You're driving or something, and a certain song comes on the radio or whatever. It's like, wow, I feel like I've done this before. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about a deja vu is, you can talk about your experience meditating and everything else. And I'll tell you about my brief experience meditating here in just a minute. But the thing is, not everybody has done that, and people are more so, if they haven't seen it or done it themselves, then it doesn't exist. But
Mm-hmm.
everyone has had a deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
I have never asked someone, "Have you ever had one?" Yeah. What is that? Uh, I don't know. It just then they leave it like that. To me,
Mm-hmm.
that has always bothered me. What the hell is that? I have had some so deep to where about
Mm-hmm.
two, and one in particular, but there's about two to where it was so deep to where I actually knew the next thing that was gonna happen. Like, it lasted a long time. I mean, a long time as in 20 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever. I knew the next thing, oh, there's gonna be a blue truck or somebody's gonna walk out. That
Mm-hmm.
was, to me, mind blowing. I mean, how can you explain it? If we are what people think we are, just this flesh that you born, then you die. What the hell is that? How have we
Yeah.
all have had that before?
Right. Yeah. If we just lived and then we died and then there's nothing after, what would be the whole point of all of this? It would be
Right.
useless, you know? No. But so before we actually come here, we sign a contract knowing exactly what we're going to get into in this life. It's like you can see the movie laid out in front of you, and then you choose to come here because you're here to learn, to grow, and experience this level of existence. And I've had experiences like that too with the deja vu, where you can basically guess what's going to happen next. And that's just simply your unconscious mind bringing these events that you already know are going to happen to your conscious mind. You can actually venture out, if you ever do like out of body traveling or anything, and you can go to the Akashic records, and it's a dimension where all the past and future experiences of everything actually exists. And I mean, you can do research on it. It's called the Akashic records. But you can see your future, you can see your past. People venture out to it and get ideas of what they need to do next in their lifetime. It's really, really interesting. But no, I've definitely had some deja vu's, and it's really cool when it's like you can tell exactly what's going to happen next, and then it
Right.
happens.
That's
Like, holy crap,
it. Kind of
it's
cuts you deep and makes you really think about it.
yeah,
You know, so the
it
Akashic
does.
records, you know, it kind of it takes, you know, we see time, we perceive time as linear. You know,
Mhm.
everything is sequential. You know, right now we're
Right.
having the podcast. I just waved my hand in front of my face, and this already happened. This is the present. The past already happened. But when you can see the past, present, and future, it's almost like a cassette tape, and you have the two reels. So this is the future, what's gonna happen. This is the past, and we're only experiencing that little piece on the top. I
Right.
wonder how many people watching this don't know what a cassette tape is, but anyways, the little piece in the middle is the cassette tape. I mean, is our present, and that's
Yeah.
what we see, and we can't see beyond the
Right.
you know, forwards nor backwards. You know, so the Akashic record is a lot like that. It's all stored. It already happened. What happened already. What didn't happen yet, and it's all stored in there. We can only experience the present. What we perceive as the present.
Right. It's literally like a movie that you are just playing out in real life. Like everything has already been determined. You just have to live through it.
Right.
But I mean, you use your mind to perceive your reality, and you use your emotions as the driving force to achieve that reality.
So what
So,
about free will? If it's already predetermined.
so I don't like try to worry about anything. Like I try not to stress or have any worry or fear or doubt with what's going to happen, like in my timeline. I just I do let it float around, with like as free will. But I know that even though it is free will, it's still labeled in this movie that I'm living through. Like the free will can be part of this movie, and it's for me to experience that. Does that make sense?
Right. It's something that you basically before you whenever you were still in the spiritual realm about to, I guess, get assigned or choose the life, you knew that it would happen, that you already knew
Mm-hmm.
the outcome, but regardless of the outcome, you're going to experience the tape,
Yeah.
the
It's like you
ACDC
have,
tape.
right. It's like you have the free will to like, okay, I want to go and I want to go get ice cream tonight. Okay, that's your free will. But sitting there thinking that okay, by the end of this year, I want to move across the country. I want to have this kind of job, and like that's more of going to go down the line of where your movie is going to actually take you, because you can't look that far into the future, because when you try to think of the future, it never happens how you want it to. Uh, but I mean, you have free will to do like smaller things, but the big things that are going to happen in your life are already laid out. You're just waiting for the right time for that part of the movie to play itself out.
Is that maybe what coincidences are? It's kind of those are the
So,
the little pushes throughout the movie to guide you and where you were already determined to be.
mhm. So I don't believe in coincidences. I haven't for a long time. I feel that everything happens exactly how it's supposed to and for a reason. That's kind of how I got into this whole health thing. Um, it's kind of like I had studied this one naturopathic doctor for about a week. I loved his work, and I had told one of my 70-year-old clients at the time. Um, I just said, hey, there's this doctor that's reversing all these health problems in people. And she was a vegan at the time. And she said, David, I want to bring you this book after we finished our workout. And she stopped by and she gave me this book. And I started looking at it. And I come to find out it was written by the same naturopathic doctor that I'd been studying his work for a week, and I said, "Oh my gosh, like this is not a coincidence.
Right.
This was meant
And
for me
I
to
watched that
find this."
interview. He had you on. He interviewed you, correct? That's the same guy,
Yeah,
Dr. Robert, I think. Or he has the
Doctor.
was it the
Yeah,
pH Miracle or something like that was the book.
yeah,
Yeah, I
he's
watched y'all.
Doctor Robert. Doctor
Yeah,
Robert. Yeah, he has the pH Miracle. He's one of the top renowned naturopathic
right.
doctors in the
I had
world.
watched the interview when he had you on. I thought it was pretty fascinating. So yeah, so that's my point is that a coincidence is not so much a coincidence. We
Oh,
a lower consciousness mind would say, "Oh wow, what a coincidence!" You move on. But a higher level of conscious, you would take that and the definition of what we think is a coincidence, it's actually something. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, that. I mean, what are the chances of this happening other than the very fact that it was supposed to happen or needed to
right.
happen? For the next part of the
Exactly.
for Act Two of the movie.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly. That's so right.
and I was we got off topic earlier. Was talking about um meditating and everything. I in an out of body experiences, I tried, but I never got, I guess, too deep. I had done research on it and things, and they tell you a lot of basically get comfortable and loose clothing wherever's comfortable. You can do it laying, you can do it sitting, whatever. I've always done it just like in the bed. The problem with that, sometimes you tend to fall asleep, But
Hmm.
there was one time in particular, like everything the way it was described that I read, I was very close because like my body was vibrating and everything, and I felt
Hmm.
like it was either my arms or like my arms and my legs. I felt them like lifting like out of my body, and then it
Hmm.
kind of I guess freaked me out, and I fell
Hmm.
back in and like snapped out of it. But all of the everything I've read that was on track. I guess I was doing the right thing,
Hmm.
So I'm gonna keep trying. My goal is I want to have because I believe it is possible. I'm like you. I've read and listened to so many testimonies, and I think it's healthy to to get an
Hmm.
outside perspective. I don't mean necessarily just by being outside of your body, but I mean like let your mind believe that this isn't it. Just these flesh meat eating.
Hmm.
And I'm a meat eater, by the way. But what I mean by fleshy, we're not just born to die. Where there's more that are going on with consciousness, and everything. And
Hmm.
I think it's a great experience that people should look into to get tuned in more to your own inner self.
Hmm. 100%.
Yep. And it's almost like we're in a simulation, because there is a simulation hypothesis and everything. Because and the further that scientists dig, into quantum mechanics and everything, the they start. We used to think that the smallest part of the atom was the electron, and then or the innards, the proton and neutron.
Hmm.
They go deeper. That's nothing. There's
Hmm.
quantum particles that they're not sure what it is. There's this foam that goes in and out of existence. They realize that everything is a wave. And when you get down to brass knuckles, nothing is really real. Our five senses perceive my wooden table that my computer set on. The my eyes see our little 5% of the electromagnetic spectrum. We hear sounds that are also waves. And there's
Hmm.
nothing that is actual concrete, no pun intended, but nothing that's solid. The deeper they go, and what they find is that not only is everything a wave, it can be a wave and it can be a particle at the same time. The quantum mechanics is crazy, but and I won't even pretend to understand it. But what they find is codes, much like our DNA. They say it's almost like a computer program, like that. Just not almost. They said it basically is the way our DNA code is structured, and they find these codes as well in the quantum mechanics that everything is designed, with a like a program code. They say that back on the DNA, for our DNA to be the way it is, it's the chances of that happening and being constructed the way it is, it was I don't want to, I'm probably going to misrepresent the quote, but it's something like a hurricane, I mean a tornado flying through a junkyard and rearranging all the junk and the parts into a 747 jet plane. And someone else described it as if you took the dictionary and cut out every letter in it, you just drop it from an airplane, that everything would fall exactly. That's the chances of our DNA being structured in this computer code the way it is. You know, it's almost, you know, you were saying predetermined kind of, and are we programmed? You know, are we in a simulation? You know, and from a higher dimension that we're experiencing this. It's real fascinating to get off on all them topics and stuff. You know, what do you think about that simulation?
So it's definitely is a simulation, because again, when you go all the way down to the atoms and you keep breaking it down, it all eventually turns back down into sheer light and energy. I mean, everything is energy. And just like whenever we die, like the Bible says, from dust you are, and no dust you shall return. I mean, our bodies break all the way back down to their anatomical elements, and those atoms, I mean, you cannot create them or destroy them. Like, it's done. There's a set amount of atoms, and you can't create more, you can't destroy them. They just simply rearrange. They're like Lego pieces. And they'll become a new plant, new animal matter. It can become a new human or whatever. So it's just constantly like playing Legos on this planet. And you kind of lost track of what I was going to say. But there's actually a documentary out there, and they actually took the DNA and they decoded it. And they had found like the first strand of your DNA. It says God eternal within the body, and y'all can look up that documentary. It's very interesting.
You know the name. You know the name of the documentary.
Just Google God eternal within the body, and it should pull up. It's on YouTube and stuff. But very, very fascinating stuff. And I mean, it's like when you think about it, you know, I mean, like when you burn a piece of wood, there's always going to be an ash left. You cannot completely destroy it. Like, you cannot destroy the ash. I mean, you can keep smearing it till you don't see it, but it's still there, you know? And that's just the atoms. It's the Lego pieces. And then eventually they're going to become something else. They just constantly keep rearranging.
It changes into something else. You can never get rid of it. Like a piece of wood, you know, you burn your fireplace, you know, and, you know, you got a wheelbarrow that's very heavy, where you can burn the whole wheelbarrow, and then you're left with ashes that you can carry out in a cup, you know. Yeah. The weight that you burn is the stored energy. I want to thank everyone for sticking around riding shotgun with us through these difficult times that we have with this podcast, and I do promise that in the future we're going to have all the bugs worked out of this. And I want to thank David for coming on twice to try to correct the errors that I had before, and then we had a few more errors. But check out his website, Alka-clean.com. He's an expert in helping reverse health conditions. And if you enjoyed the content of this podcast, stick around, stay tuned, subscribe and share, because we're going to have many more episodes similar to this. We're going deep. We're going to go into the Mandela effect. We're going to talk about consciousness. We're going to talk about simulation theory. We're going to talk about lots of things. We're going to take you deep down the rabbit hole, and you won't be able to get out of it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. This is The Other Side. I want to be like you. I want to be like you.